oil of oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients, extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
Well, previous studies have shown a correlation between fluoride in the water and a decrease in IQ. But now it turns out that it doesn't just make you stupid, it makes you fat and depressed as well. This is a story that's been done out of the UK. The Telegraph points out a epidemiological study that was done there. They say fluoride in drinking water may trigger depression and weight gain, warn scientists. They looked at 15,000 people, they say, in an area that has high fluoridation in the UK alone. They say they're suffering needlessly from thyroid problems because of fluoride in the drinking water. They say the high rates of underactive thyroid were 30% more likely in areas of greatest fluoridation. The researchers compared areas to records from 7,935 general practice records, different GP doctors, that covers about 95% of the English population in the years 2012 to 2013. They said that rates of high underactive thyroid were at least 30% more likely in practices that were located in areas with fluoride levels in excess of 0.3 milligrams per liter, or we can say 0.3 parts per million. Remember that number. We're going to come back to that number. They say previous studies have found that fluoride inhibits the production of iodine, which is essential for healthy thyroids. And of course, the thyroid gland, they say, regulates metabolism as well as many other systems of the body. That's why it leads to depression, weight gain, fatigue, aching muscles, and they say that women are affected 15 times more than men, about 15 in every 1,000 women. Now, the interesting thing is that in the UK, what allowed them to do this epidemiological study is that there's only about 6 million people in the UK that get fluoridated water. Not everybody there gets it. Now, the interesting thing here is that to protect teeth from decay, they're supplementing the water treatment works to bring it up to a 1 part per million concentration. Now, remember I said, remember that number, 0.3 parts per million. They are fluoridating the water, however, at 1 part per million. Just the day before, the Telegraph said that 0.3 parts per million would result in thyroid problems. It looked like a pretty high correlation, but they are fluoridating their water at 3 times that rate. But in the UK, it's only about 6 million people that are having their water fluoridated. Look at what's happening in the US. They say the US, of course, does it more than any other country in the world. We have not 6 million people, but 204 million US residents get artificially fluoridated water. That's 74% of the US population. Brazil is the second most extensively fluoridated country. They have 73 million, or 41% of the population. Look at some of the countries, though, where they don't fluoridate it at all. They say that about 10 years ago, they did a study at York University, again in the UK, that found that tooth decay in children across Europe had been falling. And of course, you've seen the graph in so many of our charts here when we have articles about fluoridation showing the decline in tooth decay, and they show it in countries that fluoridate their water artificially and countries that don't have fluoridation in their water, and they're all declining at about the same rate. And what they point out is that in Europe, when they looked at the European countries, the countries that showed the biggest decrease in tooth decay in children were Sweden, the Netherlands, Finland, and Denmark. And they do not fluoridate their supplies. So let me repeat this. We have a high correlation between thyroid problems in the UK when they look at 95% of the people in the UK, and they look at areas where they fluoridate the water, areas where they don't fluoridate the water, and they see a high correlation in thyroid disease. Then they look at Europe as a whole, and they see that the countries that have the greatest decrease in tooth decay amongst children are those that do not fluoridate their water. Do you see a pattern here? Do you see that it's not necessary? They're selling us something that even if it were effective, we would have to question whether it is safe to mass medicate the public in the water supply where you cannot control the concentration or the dosage that anyone receives. How do you know what dosage they're getting? Well, let's talk about the dosages that are being approved. Now, of course, as I pointed out, the article in the UK said that 0.3 parts per million were associated with thyroid damage. Nevertheless, they were supplying people at 1 part per million, 3 times, more than 3 times that. In the United States, the Department of Health and Human Services said that they're saying that the safe range is 0.7 to 1.2 parts per million. The EPA is saying that it is 4 parts per million. That is more than 10 times what we saw resulting in thyroid damage. And if we go back and look at some of the stories that we've published over and over again over the years in INFOWARS.com, just look at this one from 2014, about a year ago, February 10th, 2014. Harvard study in China says that fluoride lowers children's IQ by 7 points. And of course, in that study, they referenced another Chinese study by Ding that said that they saw decreases in mental capacity at 0.24 parts per million. A little bit less than what they've seen causes fluoride damage in the UK. Nevertheless, we are doing fluoride in this country at 3 to 5 times that level that we would see damage to thyroid, damage to intelligence. One last quote, and this is from a doctor Donald Miller, cardiac surgeon, professor of surgery at the University of Washington. He alleges that fluoride also damages the brain directly and indirectly. Rats given fluoridated water at a dosage of 4 parts per million develop symptoms resembling attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. High concentrations of fluoride accumulate in the pineal gland, which produces serotonin and melatonin. Guess what? That 4 parts per million that he saw bringing those kind of adverse effects on lab rats, the EPA is just fine with that. That's the level they say you can go up to, because I guess we're ultimately their lab rats. Stay with us right after the break. Rob Dew has a report on how they want to use us as lab rats for fluoride. And we have a look at a new organization that is enticing illegal immigration into this country and participation in the entitlement program, exponentially growing it to take down our economy. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Another major health threat, this one in Toledo, Ohio, where everybody in the entire city has been told not to drink the water.
Ohio's governor declaring a state of emergency.
Did you know that the average person uses about 80 to 100 gallons of water at home every single day? If there's a water emergency, will you be prepared?
Panicked residents forming long lines throughout the day.
We're here at a supermarket in Toledo. You can see the shelves empty where water once was.
To stay safe and healthy during a crisis, you must have access to safe, clean water. Water which will not be available at your local grocery store.
There's a mad dash on right now to stock up on supplies.
The ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system is a must-have for every modern, independently minded household. Protect your family's safety during an emergency. Go to InfoWarsStore.com today to purchase your ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system or call 1-888-253-3139.
For all of recorded history, civilizations around the world praised the health benefits of silver. At InfoWars Life, our mission is to bring you the highest quality, purest, cleanest, effective colloidal silver on the market today for the lowest price available. You don't have to be a doctor to know. The fall and winter months are the most dangerous time of year in North America when it comes to you and your family's health. InfoWarsLife.com is very excited to announce our biggest run yet of Silver Bullet colloidal silver, exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, InfoWarsLife.com has taken colloidal silver to the next level using a cutting-edge technique that is free of toxic artificial additives. Now more than ever, it's important to stock up on high-quality Silver Bullet from InfoWarsLife.com and to help others during Christmas by teaching them about the powerful benefits of silver. Secure your Silver Bullet today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Can America survive an exponentially growing, an unlimited entitlement state? Of course they can't. That's why the globalists are bringing it on in the name of immigration. Now, of course, we've seen in the past, in the recent past, we had many cities that would come in and say, we're going to be sanctuary cities. We've declared ourselves as a sanctuary city. We're not going to deport anyone who comes here illegally. Now we've gone the next step. We have a president who has, against the will of the people, against the will of Congress, who would not enact legislation that he wanted in order to do this. He just came out with his executive order. And now we have cities who are joining a group called Welcoming America. We had one of those come here to Austin yesterday. We have a report coming up in just a moment about that. Well, there's 49 cities in the United States that have already signed on to the Welcoming America agenda. Austin is the only one in Texas. There's 6 in Michigan. There's 4 in North Carolina and Ohio, 3 in California. So it's concentrated in a few areas, but what they're trying to do is essentially turn this into a discussion about empathy, about treating people decently. When I talked to the lady there and asked her, I said, wait a minute, are you talking about legal or illegal immigrants? She said, we don't make a distinction between legal and illegal immigrants. Really? You don't make a distinction between those? If somebody comes into your home illegally, breaks into your home, isn't that a distinction? They talked about how the people who are really fighting this are the ranchers at the border, saying because they're loud and rich, they get heard. They don't like people walking across their property. This is about a lot more than just keep off the grass. This is about ranchers, as we've reported here at INFOWARS, who have found scores of dead bodies on their ranches decomposing. They're concerned about the drug traffickers. They're concerned about the human trafficking. They go around their ranch, their private property, their home, having to carry heavily armed weapons to protect themselves. That's what this is about. This is about people coming in with a sense of entitlement, coming here without our permission, coming here in violation of our laws and saying, we're entitled, we have rights as immigrants. And of course, this is about the distinction between positive rights and negative rights. America, as Obama eloquently pointed out when he was running for Senate, he said, our Constitution is set up on a system of negative rights. It establishes our rights by prohibiting the government from doing things, saying you can't infringe upon our free speech, on our freedom of religion, on our freedom to protect ourselves, that type of thing. Instead, what they're doing now is they're setting up positive rights, saying we all have a right to education, we have a right to health care. And with open borders and an entitlement state, that is a prescription to take down the country very quickly. That is why you have these globalist organizations supporting Welcoming America. Here's the report that we filed yesterday. You may not have heard of this, but there's an organization called Welcoming America. And as part of that, we have welcoming cities and counties. Austin is now one of those welcoming cities. We went to talk to them today.
I'm here with the chair of the Commission on Immigration Affairs.
My name is Angela Jodota Medina. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you. Tell us what the purpose of Welcoming America is, or Welcoming Austin.
The Welcoming Cities, the purpose of the Welcoming City Summit is to convene community stakeholders to kind of come together and discuss how welcoming Austin is as a community and define a vision for us as a welcoming community moving forward.
Okay, and when we talk about being a welcoming community, what does that really entail?
Well, one of the things so the city of Austin signed on to Welcoming America, became a welcoming city through Welcoming America in September 2013. Mm-hmm. And what Welcoming America, its basic platform is cities that are welcoming are cities that integrate immigrants in a way that they can contribute to and benefit from the prosperity of the community as a whole.
Okay.
So fomenting into immigrant integration.
And so is this for all immigrants, or is it for documented immigrants or undocumented?
It's for all. So we're not differentiating. We're talking about immigrants in general. We're not differentiating. We're talking about immigrants in general.
So the operating word here is welcoming. That sounds so much better than sanctuary cities, doesn't it? We have welcoming cities, we have welcoming counties, we even have the organization Welcoming America. And of course, their tagline is building a nation of neighbors. Sounds very much like what Nancy Pelosi said. We just have one community with a border running through it. And of course, Petraeus said that this nation that we're building is the nation that comes after America. He famously had a topic in a London presentation where he said, what comes after America? Well, that's easy. North America. We've had NAFTA for a very long time, he said, 20 years. And now we find, 20 years in, that what they were implementing all along is what many of us said they were implementing all along, not just a trade agreement, but a complete restructuring, political restructuring of our sovereignty. It's nothing less than that. Now, of course, in America so far, there's 49 welcoming cities. The only one in Texas is Austin, but there's 6 in Michigan. North Carolina and Ohio have 4 each. California and Maryland have 3 each. They say on their website, Welcoming America is a national, grassroots-driven collaborative that promotes mutual respect